Did you know that this small, square coin survived treacherous ocean waves and deadly wartime bombers just to reach the pockets of the common man? This 1945 Malaya 1 cent is far more than just mere currency. It is a defiant symbol of the British Empire's dramatic return. While the world was still smoldering from the fires of World War II, this bronze survivor was being shipped across dangerous, submarine-infested waters to reclaim a broken economy. It represents the moment a nation traded worthless occupation paper for the solid weight of history, marking the end of Japanese dominance and the rebirth of British Malaya. Every edge of this coin tells a story of survival, sovereignty, and the high-stakes gamble of a global empire fighting to restore its crown. The strategic decision to give the 1945 Malaya 1 cent coin its distinct square, scallop corner shape was a masterstroke of functional engineering and economic necessity. Primarily, this unconventional geometry was adopted to conserve strategic metals like copper and tin, which were in critically short supply due to the industrial demands of World War II. By reducing the surface area compared to traditional round coins, the British authorities could produce more currency with less material. Furthermore, the square design served a vital social purpose. It allowed the local population, including those who were illiterate, to instantly distinguish the 1 cent denomination from other coins by touch alone. As Malaya, modern-day Malaysia and Singapore, was a British Crown colony, every technical detail was meticulously debated in London through high-level coordination between the Royal Mint and the Commissioners of Currency. These institutions ensured that the coin's specifications, from its bronze composition to its unique dimensions, met the rigorous standards of the British monetary system while addressing the chaotic economic reality of the post-occupation Malay Peninsula. The obverse of this 1945 Malaya 1 cent coin features the distinguished effigy of King George VI, crafted by the renowned British sculptor and medallist Percy Metcalfe. Metcalfe was a master of his craft, famously selected to design the coinage of the Irish Free State and later commissioned to create this iconic, crowned portrait of the king for various British colonial territories. His work is celebrated for its clean, sharp lines and a modernist touch that simplified the royal image while maintaining a sense of regal authority. Unlike the portraits used within the United Kingdom where the king appeared uncrowned, Metcalfe's colonial design depicted the monarch wearing the imperial state crown, symbolizing the vast reach of the British Empire during a period of global upheaval. This specific portrait became a hallmark of numismatic history, representing the transition of power and resilience during the final years of the British Malaya era. Between 1942 and 1945, the Malay Peninsula endured a brutal period of Japanese occupation, which triggered a total collapse of the local economy. To exert control and erase British influence, the Japanese military administration forcibly introduced their own paper currency, infamously known as banana money, due to the distinctive banana tree motifs printed on the high-denomination notes. Unlike the stable British Malayan dollar, this military scrip had no serial numbers and no gold reserves to back it up, leading to catastrophic hyperinflation. As the Japanese war machine began to fail, they flooded the market with these unbacked notes, making them virtually worthless. By the end of the war, people literally needed sacks full of banana money just to buy a single loaf of bread. The introduction of the 1945 Malaya 1 cent coin by the British was not just a return to metal currency, it was a powerful psychological tool to restore public trust and prove that the era of worthless paper money and Japanese dominance had finally ended. The liberation of Malaya in 1945 marked a pivotal turning point as the Japanese forces formally surrendered, paving the way for the British Military Administration, BMA, to reclaim control. Upon their return, the British faced the monumental task of stabilizing a broken economy and restoring public confidence. The issuance of the 1945 Malaya 1 cent coin was a strategic move to re-establish the British monetary system and physically signal the end of Japanese rule. These coins acted as hard currency to replace the discredited and worthless Japanese occupation notes. By circulating these bronze square coins, the British effectively reasserted their sovereignty over the peninsula, using the image of King George VI to remind the local population that the British Crown had returned to provide order, trade, and financial security after years of wartime chaos. The production of the 1945 Malaya 1-cent coin was heavily dictated by the extreme global shortage of strategic metals, particularly copper, which was being diverted for shell casings, wiring, and other essential military hardware. To navigate this crisis, the British authorities shifted the composition of the coin to bronze, a more resourceful alloy, and significantly reduced its physical dimensions. This shrinkage was a deliberate conservation tactic. By making the coin smaller and thinner, the mint could produce a much larger volume of currency from a single sheet of metal. This move was not just an economic necessity but a logistical triumph, ensuring that the liberated territories of Malaya had enough physical change to restart local trade without depleting the precious metal reserves needed for the final stages of the Allied war effort. The artistic journey of the 1945 Malaya 1-cent began in the heart of London, where Percy Metcalfe meticulously sculpted the original portrait of King George VI. Once the design was finalized, the Royal Mint engineers undertook the highly technical process of creating the master dies. These dies served as the primary blueprint for the entire production. They were the hardened steel stamps from which all other working dies were produced. The precision of these master dies was critical, as they captured every fine detail of the king's crown and the coin's unique lettering. Despite the heavy German aerial bombardments hitting London during the later stages of the war, the Royal Mint successfully safeguarded these master tools, ensuring that the official face of British Malaya's currency remained consistent and of the highest quality before being dispatched for mass production. A fascinating and often overlooked connection in the history of the 1945 Malaya 1-cent is its birth in British India. While the designs originated in London, the actual mass production was shifted to the Calcutta and Bombay Mints. This strategic move was born out of necessity. The Royal Mint in London was under immense pressure, with its resources and manpower diverted to support the Allied war effort, including the manufacturing of essential military hardware and metals. Consequently, the burden of minting colonial currency fell upon the highly skilled mints in India. These Indian mints played a crucial role in the economic recovery of the Malay Peninsula, churning out millions of these square bronze coins. This historical link highlights how Mumbai and Kolkata became the industrial backbone for British colonial currency during the final, chaotic months of the Second World War. The transportation of these coins from the mints in India to the ports of Malaya was a perilous maritime journey fraught with extreme danger. Since the Indian Ocean and the Malacca Strait were active combat zones during the final stages of World War II, the cargo ships carrying these bronze coins were constant targets for enemy submarines, U-boats, and naval mines. Every shipment was a high-stakes gamble. A single torpedo could send millions of newly minted coins to the bottom of the ocean. To minimize the risk, these vessels often traveled in heavily guarded convoys or under the cover of darkness to evade detection. This hidden chapter of the coin's history emphasizes that the 1945 Malaya 1-cent is not just a piece of metal, but a survivor of a treacherous wartime voyage across some of the most dangerous waters in history. Once the shipments safely reached the shores of the Malay Peninsula, the British military administration acted swiftly to inject these coins into the local economy through a network of official British banks and government treasuries. The primary objective of this mass distribution was to perform a monetary cleansing, to systematically devalue and eliminate the influence of the Japanese banana money that had plagued the region for years. By making the 1945 Malaya 1-cent readily available for daily transactions at markets and shops, the authorities provided the public with a tangible, high-quality alternative to the worthless occupation paper. This transition was crucial for stabilizing food prices and reviving small-scale trade. As the square bronze coins began to circulate from hand to hand, they served as a daily reminder to the people of Malaya that the British financial order had been restored and the era of wartime economic instability was finally over. The design philosophy and the Royal Mint's influence. The conceptualization and intricate design of this coin were finalized under the expert guidance of the British Royal Mint. During the development phase, the master of the mint played a pivotal role in making a strategic decision regarding its physical structure. Instead of the traditional circular shape, the coin was engineered with a unique 12-edged, dodecagonal, scalloped design. This was not merely an aesthetic choice but a functional one, specifically designed to assist the illiterate population of that era, allowing them to easily identify the coin's denomination simply by touch and feel. Linguistic diversity and numismatic features. The coin serves as a historical testament to the linguistic diversity of undivided India. The reverse side of the coin prominently features the denomination 1 Anna, inscribed in 4 major regional languages: Urdu, Hindi, Bengali, and Telugu. This inclusion was a deliberate effort to ensure the currency was accessible and recognizable across the vast and culturally varied landscape of the British Raj. Every curve and inscription on this coin reflects a blend of colonial administration and the rich heritage of the subcontinent. The minting connection and wartime logistics. Production and strategic origins. These historic coins were struck at the prestigious Bombay, Mumbai, and Calcutta mints. The year 1941 represents a critical turning point in numismatic history due to the height of World War II. As Great Britain was heavily involved in the global conflict, there was an urgent and massive demand for copper and other strategic metals to manufacture ammunition and military hardware. This wartime necessity directly influenced the production of the currency you see today. The transition to nickel brass. To preserve pure copper for the war effort, a significant metallurgical shift was implemented. The traditional composition was replaced with a specialized nickel-brass alloy. This change was not just a matter of economy but a strategic move to ensure that every possible ounce of copper could be diverted to the front lines. Collectors should note that this specific alloy gives the 1941 coins their distinct yellowish hue, making them a fascinating wartime issue for numismatists. The scarcity of materials during this era often resulted in variations in strike quality, adding a unique layer of historical depth to every surviving specimen. Collector's identification and rare facts. 1. Mint identification, the secret marks. For serious collectors, identifying the origin of this coin is crucial. If you look closely at the bottom of the coin, you might find a specific mark. A small dot or a diamond shape indicates that the coin was struck at the Bombay, Mumbai, Mint. However, if you see no mark at all, a plain space, it confirms the coin was minted at the Calcutta Mint. This tiny detail can significantly impact the coin's historical narrative and market value. 2. The security edge anti-counterfeiting measures. During this era, preventing forgery was a high priority. To counter counterfeiters, the British authorities introduced a specialized security edge. This unique rim design served a dual purpose. It made the coin extremely difficult to replicate and helped save precious metal during the wartime shortage. The intricate milling on the edge is a hallmark of the advanced engineering used during the British Raj. 3. Historical rarity and survival. What makes these wartime issues so valuable today is their survival rate. Because metals like copper and brass were in such high demand for the military, countless coins were recalled and melted down for ammunition. Very few specimens survived the chaos of World War II in good condition. Finding one of these coins today is like holding a piece of global history that narrowly escaped the furnace of war. The historical backdrop. 1941, a continent in turmoil. A time of political transformation. When this coin first entered public circulation in 1941, the Indian subcontinent was caught in the middle of 2 monumental historical storms. On the domestic front, the struggle for independence had reached a fever pitch. Just a year prior, in 1940, the landmark Pakistan Resolution had been passed in Lahore, setting a definitive course for the creation of a new nation. Simultaneously, the groundwork for the massive Quit India movement was being laid, creating an atmosphere of intense political restlessness and a collective demand for self-rule. The convergence of global and local crisis. For the common person carrying this coin in their pocket, 1941 was a year of extreme uncertainty. While the British Raj was battling the Axis powers on the global stages of World War II, it was also facing an internal uprising from a populace determined to break the chains of colonial rule. This coin is not just a piece of currency, it is a silent witness to the era of great leaders, the birth of revolutionary ideologies, and the inevitable decline of the British Empire in the East. Every scratch on its surface tells the story of a nation on the brink of a historic rebirth. The emotional and economic weight of the 1941 Anna. The pulse of the people. To hold this coin today is to touch the very pulse of a revolution. In 1941, this 1 Anna piece was changing hands in crowded marketplaces where the air was thick with the slogans of independence. It was tucked into the pockets of freedom fighters and common citizens alike during a time when the dream of a sovereign homeland was transforming from a whisper into a roar. This coin didn't just facilitate trade, it moved through a society that was witnessing the final, decisive years of colonial rule. Economic reality and inflation. Beyond its political significance, this coin carries the weight of wartime survival. Due to the immense economic pressure of World War II, inflation was skyrocketing across British India. During this era, the purchasing power of a single Anna was remarkably high compared to modern standards, representing a value that would equate to hundreds of rupees in today's economy. It was a vital lifeline for families struggling to balance their daily lives against the backdrop of global conflict and domestic upheaval. A visual legacy. Imagine this coin sitting on a wooden desk next to a 1941 newspaper headline announcing the latest developments of the war or the growing momentum of the Pakistan movement. The visual contrast between this small, dodecagonal piece of metal and the world-altering events surrounding it is what makes it a true collector's masterpiece. It remains a tangible piece of visual storytelling, a relic that survived the headlines, the hunger, and the heat of a revolution. Market circulation and the economic hierarchy. The backbone of colonial commerce. The 1941 1 Anna coin served as the vital pulse of the economy, acting as a bridge between the local street vendor and the royal treasury. In the intricate monetary system of British India, this coin held a strategic position. 1 Anna was equal to 12 pies, and it took 16 annas to complete a single rupee. As it entered the bustling markets, it became a living testament to the economic shifts of the era. The transition to the nickel-brass alloy, necessitated by the global metal shortage during World War II, makes this specific year a wartime survivor. For historians and numismatists, this coin is not just currency, it is a physical map of the financial struggle and the structural hierarchy of the British Raj's economy. The elite valuation. Why collectors pay millions? In the world of high-stakes numismatics, the value of a coin is driven by rarity, condition, and technical errors. Here is how the 1941 1 Anna reaches legendary price points. 1. The £50 million category, the ultra-rarity masterpiece. To reach this astronomical value, a coin must be in MS 70, perfect mint state. Essentially untouched by human hands since the day it was struck. This valuation is reserved for a wrong planchet error. For example, if a 1941 1 Anna was accidentally struck on a gold planchet intended for a higher sovereign or a proof set, such a unique strike would be the only one in existence, making it a holy grail for billionaires and elite museums. 2. The £30 million category, the exquisite error. The condition, gem uncirculated, MS 65+. With original mint luster. The error, a major off-center strike, above 50%, combined with a double die obverse. This means the coin was struck away from the center, leaving a large portion of the metal blank, while the visible design shows doubled lettering. The dramatic visual distortion combined with the 1941 wartime history creates a massive demand. 3. The £10 million category, the historical treasure. The condition, choice uncirculated, MS 63. The error, a mule error, or a broad strike. A mule occurs when the obverse, front, of one coin is paired with the reverse, back, of a different denomination. Additionally, die cracks that look like lightning bolts across the face of King George VI add significant value. These manufacturing accidents are what make collectors obsessed with the 1941 issue. Why collectors are obsessed? The X factor. Wartime composition. The yellowish nickel-brass tint is unique to this era, distinguishing it from the common copper-nickel coins of later years. Survival rate. Because the British government recalled and melted millions of these coins to reclaim metal for weapons and ammunition during the war, finding a survivor in pristine condition is statistically near impossible. The scalloped edge, the 12-edge geometry, is considered a masterpiece of colonial minting technology, designed for both beauty and utility.